Getting straight into the top 5 news stories of the day, we begin with another thwarted terror attack, this time overseas. Belgian authorities were able to stop a possible attack just hours before it was supposed to take place. Belgian police conducted an anti-terror raid during which they killed 2 people in a shootout and arrested a third. They also say 13 more people have been detained as a result of the raid. Now, officials say security forces struck against militants who may be returnees from Islamic holy war in Syria. Police do not believe this group has any connection to the terror attacks in Paris last weekend. On the subject of Paris, French authorities announced that 12 people have been detained during raids in connection with the terror attacks last week. This comes at the same time that Secretary of State John Kerry is meeting with top officials in the country to offer solidarity with the country after last week's deadly terror attacks. Now, Kerry is expected to lay wreaths at the site of the attacks and has said he is going to Paris to offer a big hug to the French people. The secretary's visit comes as critics are still talking about how the U.S. did not send a high-level representative to the Unity March in Paris last week. Moving on, if you've been bitten by the flu bug this year, then you can probably relate to this next story. Officials say the flu continues to prove really bad this season, closing schools and overwhelming many hospitals throughout the country. One school in Philly was forced to close Tuesday when 75 kids were all out with flu-like symptoms. The CDC says the most vulnerable age groups remain small children and those over 65. And for those dreaming of staying in the U.S. under the president's new immigration action, the process just got one step closer to reality. Mexico will now allow its citizens to obtain birth certificates in the U.S. at one of its consulates. Before, people could only get their birth certificates in Mexico. So this will, of course, make the process of getting work permits, driver's licenses, and other documents easier for Mexican immigrants. All right, guys, last of your top 5 headlines. Here's one you don't hear about every day. Cops using real mugshots for target practice. Cops in North Miami Beach are getting a lot of heat for using real suspect photos for target practice. I mean, how did this story come to light anyway? Well, a Florida National Guard sergeant went to a gun range for practice and recognized her brother's booking photo from about 15 years ago in a collection of bullet-riddled photos left behind by police. Critics say the police are racially insensitive because they only use black men in the photos, but the police chief, he's responded and said that they use all races from previous lineups. He's also said that the officers use poor judgments. But yeah, you know, my question is why are they using these suspects' photos in the first place?
Yeah, and every time we try to give the police the benefit of the doubt, we have a really good story. Unfortunately, something like this comes out and taints the reputation of all of them, and it's just really sad because there are good police officers out there.
They're everywhere, and terrible timing because of the Eric Garner and Michael Brown cases. There's so many good cops out there, but I hate stories like this because it just taints the the sanctity of
their reputation.
all that they do for the country.
It's very insensitive, but
it is what it is.